I stood in the middle of the grand wedding hall, my heart pounding like war drums in my chest. The chandeliers sparkled overhead, casting a golden glow on the smiling guests. Soft violin music filled the air, and laughter echoed all around. It was a perfect evening, a celebration of love. But not for me. Because the woman standing at the altar, the one in the stunning white gown, glowing with happiness, was the girl I had loved my entire life. And she was marrying someone else. I clenched my fists, nails digging into my palms. My lips curled into a bitter smile as I watched her gaze at him with eyes full of love, the same way I once thought she looked at me. The same way I had dreamed she would look at me forever. I should have left. I should have walked away and pretended I was fine. But I couldn't. I was frozen in place, drowning in betrayal, suffocating under the weight of heartbreak. She was mine. She was always supposed to be mine. I thought she knew that. I thought we had an unspoken bond, a connection no one else could ever touch. But she had just proven me wrong. And as I watched her say, "I do," my vision blurred not with tears, but with rage. If she thought she could walk away from me and live a perfect life with him, she was wrong. I would ruin everything. I would take away her happiness, piece by piece, just like she had shattered mine. This wasn't over. This was just the beginning. I wasn't always this persona man who swore revenge in the middle of a wedding hall. There was a time when I believed in love, in destiny, in the kind of unbreakable bond that could withstand anything. And all of that belief came from one Personava Carter. She wasn't just my childhood crush. She was my best friend, my safe place, my first love. We grew up together in the same small town, where summers smelled like freshly cut grass and winters meant huddling by the fireplace, sharing secrets only we knew. She was the wild one, always dragging me into trouble with her mischievous grin and fearless heart. I was the steady one, the quiet protector, the boy who loved her even before he understood what love really meant. I remember the first time I realized she was special. We were 8 years old, lying on a patch of grass under the open sky, staring at the clouds. "One day, we'll rule the world, Noah," she had said, her eyes shining with determination. "You'll be some genius businessman, and I'll be, I don't know, famous or something." I had laughed, nudging her shoulder. "We'll do it together, right?" She grinned. Obviously. And for years, I believed her. Through every heartbreak, every disappointment, every late-night talk under the stars, we had always been together. She leaned on me when her parents fought, and I confided in her when I felt like I wasn't enough. I was her rock. She was my heartbeat. But I was never brave enough to tell her how I felt. Not when she started dating other guys in high school. Not even when she cried in my arms after her first real heartbreak. I thought there was time. I thought she would eventually see it that no one could love her like I did. And then he came into the picture, Liam Reynolds. The golden boy. The guy with the effortless charm, the perfect smile, and the kind of presence that made people gravitate toward him. He wasn't from our small town. He was an outsider. Someone who swooped in and took what was mine. At first I told myself it was just a phase. Ava had been with other guys before. She always came back to me. But this time, it was different. Liam wasn't just some high school crush. He became her everything. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was standing outside a world I used to belong to. I tried to be happy for her. I tried to ignore the ache in my chest when she spoke about him, when she smiled at her phone, when she started canceling our late-night talks because she was busy with him. But the final blow came when she told me they were engaged. I remember that moment so clearly. We were sitting in our favorite cafe, the one where we had spent countless hours over the years. She was glowing, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "Noah, I have something to tell you," she had said, biting her lip in that way she always did when she was excited. I already knew. I had seen the ring. I had heard the whispers. "You're getting married," I said, my voice eerily calm. She blinked, surprised. "How did you—" "It doesn't matter." I cut her off, my stomach twisting. "Are you happy?" Her smile faltered for a second. Yeah, I think I am. That hesitation. That tiny second of doubt I clung to it like a drowning man grasping for air. That I'm happy for you, I lied. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. You'll always be my best friend, Noah. Nothing will ever change that. But something had changed. I had lost her. Or so I thought. Because as I stood in that wedding hall, watching her slip a ring onto Liam's finger, something inside me shifted. She might think this was the end of our story, but she had no idea it was just the beginning. I should have walked away. I should have buried my feelings that night, accepted that she had chosen someone else, and moved on. But I couldn't, because just as the wedding guests erupted into applause, just as Ava and Liam kissed for the first time as husband and wife, I saw something. Or rather, someone. A woman tall, blonde, draped in an emerald green gown stood in the far corner of the hall, half hidden behind a pillar. She wasn't clapping. She wasn't smiling. She was staring at Liam, and the look on her face wasn't one of admiration or happiness. It was something else, something darker. I didn't realize I was watching her so closely until she suddenly turned her head and our eyes met. Her expression changed instantly, shifting from raw emotion to something more controlled. But in that fleeting moment before she masked it, I saw it clearly. Pain, regret, and most of all a secret. I didn't know who she was, but I knew one thing for sure. She was connected to Liam. And if my instincts were right, she wasn't supposed to be here. That was the first crack in their perfect love story. And I was about to widen it. The wedding reception was in full swing. People were dancing, laughing, raising their glasses to toast the newlyweds. But I wasn't interested in any of it. I was watching her. She kept her distance from Ava and Liam, lingering at the edges of the celebration, her fingers tightening around her champagne flute every time someone mentioned the groom's name. And then, after about an hour, she left. Quietly. Like she didn't want to be seen. Which meant I had to follow her. I slipped out of the ballroom, my heart pounding in my chest. She walked briskly through the hotel corridor, glancing over her shoulder once. When she spotted me, she froze for a moment and quickly turned and disappeared down a hallway. But I wasn't letting her go that easily. I caught up just as she reached the hotel's side exit. Going somewhere? I asked, blocking her path. She tensed but didn't look surprised. Up close, she was even more striking high cheekbones, sharp blue eyes, the kind of beauty that seemed effortless. Who are you? She asked, her voice calm but wary. I could ask you the same thing. I leaned against the doorframe studying her. You looked uncomfortable at the wedding. Didn't seem like you were celebrating. She exhaled sharply, looking away. I shouldn't even be here. But you are, I pressed. Why? She hesitated. For a second, I thought she wouldn't answer. But then she whispered something that made my blood run cold. Because Liam is lying to her. A cold, sharp silence hung between us. I took a step closer, my pulse racing. Lying about what? She shook her head, suddenly guarded. I shouldn't be talking to you, but I grabbed her wrist before she could leave. Not roughly, just enough to make her look at me. Tell me. My voice was low, steady. Tell me what you know. She swallowed hard. I was supposed to be his wife. The world tilted for a second. What? I whispered. Liam and I? She glanced around nervously before lowering her voice. We were engaged, until 3 months ago. The words hit me like a fist to the chest. Liam was engaged to someone else? 3 months ago? And now he was married to Ava? I felt something dark coil inside me. Why did he leave you? I asked, barely keeping my voice steady. Her jaw tightened. He didn't leave me. I left him. Why? She hesitated again. Then finally she whispered, because I found out what kind of man he really is. I stared at her, trying to piece it together. Liam had always seemed perfect. Too perfect. The charming, confident, successful guy who had swooped in and taken Ava's heart like he was born to do it. But what if there was something she didn't know? What if I wasn't the only one Liam had stolen something from? You want to help her, don't you? I asked, watching her closely. She swallowed hard. I don't know. I do. My voice was firm now, filled with something dangerous. Because this was it. This was the moment I realized I didn't need to destroy Ava's life. I just had to let the truth do it for me. And I was going to tear apart Liam's perfect world piece by piece. I should have told Ava everything that night. I should have pulled her aside, whispered in her ear, and shattered the illusion she had just promised her life to. But I didn't. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure what I wanted. Did I want to protect her? Or did I want her to suffer the way I had suffered when she chose him over me? I sat in my hotel room staring at the ceiling, replaying my conversation with the woman from the wedding Liam's ex-fiancée. Because I found out what kind of man he really is. Her words haunted me. What kind of man was Liam? And what exactly had she found out? I clenched my fists, trying to push down the surge of emotions threatening to drown me. Ava was married now. It was too late, wasn't it? I groaned, running a hand through my hair. No, it wasn't too late. Because the moment I had seen that woman's expression at the wedding, the moment she had looked at Liam like she knew the truth, something had shifted. Doubt. Doubt had cracked through the perfect image of their love story. And doubt was a powerful thing. I pulled out my phone, my thumb hovering over Ava's name in my contacts. Should I call her? Should I warn her? But what if she didn't believe me? She had always seen me as her best friend, nothing more. And now? Now I was just a shadow of her past, a guest at her wedding, a man she had chosen not to love. My chest tightened. Would she even listen? I hesitated, then threw my phone onto the bed with a frustrated sigh. No. Not yet. I needed proof. Solid proof. Because Ava might not believe my words, but she wouldn't be able to ignore the truth staring her in the face. The next morning, I found her, Liam's ex-fiancée. She was sitting in the hotel cafe, stirring a cup of coffee absent-mindedly, lost in thought. She looked up as I slid into the seat across from her, her blue eyes wary but not surprised. You? Again, she murmured. You knew I'd come back, I said simply. She sighed, setting down her spoon. What do you want, Noah? The truth. She exhaled sharply, shaking her head. It's not that simple. Then make it simple, I pressed. Tell me why you left him. She hesitated. I could see the battle in her eyes, the fear, the hesitation, the pain. And then, finally, she whispered, because Liam is a liar. I stayed silent, waiting. I thought I knew him, she continued, her voice laced with bitterness. I thought he was perfect, kind, loyal. But then things stopped adding up. Money disappearing from his accounts, late-night phone calls he wouldn't explain, and then, she swallowed hard. Then I found out about the other women. A cold chill ran through me. Other women? She nodded, her hands tightening around her cup. Liam is a cheater, Noah. He always has been. He just knows how to hide it well. I sat back, my heart pounding. Ava didn't know. She had no idea who she had married. And if I told her now, if I walked up to her and said, your husband is a liar, a cheater, would she believe me? Or would she see it as nothing more than a bitter attempt to ruin her happiness? I clenched my jaw. No, I couldn't tell her. Not yet. I had to show her. I had to make her see it with her own eyes. Because when she did, when she finally realized the truth, she would fall apart. And this time, I wouldn't be there to catch her. I had to see for myself. If Liam was really cheating, if he had already betrayed Ava before their vows had even settled, I needed proof. I wasn't doing this just for her. No. A part of me wanted to see it happen. Wanted to see her heart break like mine had the day she chose him. So, I followed him. It wasn't hard. Liam was predictable. He had always been the type to flaunt his success dinners at exclusive restaurants, meetings at luxury hotels. A man like that? He left a trail wherever he went, I trailed him from his office that evening, keeping a safe distance as he drove across the city. When he finally pulled up to a sleek, high-end hotel, I felt my stomach tighten. This was it. This was where his perfect world cracked open. He stepped out of his car, looking around cautiously before heading inside. I hesitated, then followed. The lobby was grand, filled with wealthy businessmen and elegant women in evening gowns. But I wasn't here for them. I was here for him. I kept my head down, watching from a distance as Liam strode toward the elevators. Just as the doors began to close, I caught a glimpse of someone slipping inside with him. My pulse spiked. A woman. Not Ava. Someone else. I moved fast, rushing to the reception desk. "Excuse me," I said, forcing a calm smile. "I'm supposed to meet my friend here, but I forgot which room he booked. Tall guy, dark suit, checked in just now?" The receptionist barely glanced at me. "I'm sorry, sir, but we can't disclose guest information." I gritted my teeth. Fine. That I'd find another way. I turned and spotted the bar across the lobby. It had a perfect view of the elevator doors. If Liam came down with her, I'd see them. So, I waited. Minutes turned into an hour. And then the elevator doors slid open. Liam stepped out. His suit slightly rumpled. His tie loosened. And behind him, the woman. Her hair was disheveled, her dress slightly wrinkled. But what caught my attention was the way she looked at him. Like she owned him. Like this wasn't the first time. Liam smirked as he leaned in and whispered something in her ear. She laughed softly, placing a hand on his chest before walking away, her heels clicking against the marble floor. And Liam? He adjusted his tie, checked his watch, and strolled toward the exit like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just betrayed his wife. My fingers curled into fists. This was it. The proof I needed. I should have recorded it. Should have taken pictures. But I was frozen. Not with shock. Not with anger. With satisfaction. Because now, I had something even more powerful than revenge. I had the truth, and I was about to make sure Ava saw it with her own eyes. I could have told Ava right then. I could have sent her a message, called her, or even knocked at her door with the truth that would shatter her perfect world. But that would have been too easy. Ava had made her choice. She had stood in front of me, in that white dress, smiling like I was nothing more than a footnote in her life. If she wanted to believe in fairy tales, I was going to make sure she watched them burn. So, I waited. And then, I set the trap. 2 days later, Liam hosted a post-wedding celebration at their new house. It was supposed to be a gathering of close friends and family, a chance for Ava to bask in the glow of her perfect marriage. I made sure I was there. Liam greeted me at the door like nothing had happened. His smile was polished, his handshake firm. "Noah," he said smoothly. "Didn't think you'd show up." I smirked. Wouldn't miss it. His eyes flickered with something unreadable, but he shrugged it off. He thought he had won. But the night was just beginning. Inside, the house was filled with warmth and laughter. Ava looked stunning, glowing in her soft blue dress, chatting with guests like she had everything she had ever wanted. I watched her from across the room, my fingers tightening around my glass. She had no idea. Not yet. I waited until the room was full, until conversations were flowing effortlessly. And then I struck. I pulled out my phone and sent the video, one by one, to every single guest at that party. A silent balm. At first, no one reacted. Then I heard the first sharp intake of breath. A hushed whisper. A phone screen glowing in the dim light. It spread like wildfire. Confused murmurs filled the air. People glanced at Liam. Some gasped. Some covered their mouths. And then Ava's phone buzzed. I watched her frown, pulling it out of her clutch. Her smile faltered as she clicked on the message. Then she went completely still. The room was silent now. Everyone was watching her. Watching the way her hands trembled as she stared at the screen, as her breathing turned shallow. And then she looked up at him. Liam. Her voice was barely a whisper. He glanced around, finally noticing the heavy silence. Babe, what's wrong? She turned the phone toward him. The video played. Liam, stepping out of that elevator. His disheveled suit. The woman behind him, her fingers grazing his arm. The way he smirked at her, whispered in her ear. A perfect, undeniable betrayal. His face drained of color. Ava, I can explain. Explain? Her voice was shaking now, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Explain what, Liam? That this was nothing? That this woman just what? Fell into your arms? He reached for her, but she stepped back. Don't touch me. Silence. Cold. Suffocating. And then she turned her eyes locked on me. The realization hit her in an instant. You. Her voice wavered. You sent this. I took a slow sip of my drink, letting the tension thicken. You deserve to know the truth. Her breath hitched. You followed him? I tilted my head. Would you have believed me otherwise? Her lips parted, but no words came out. Because she knew the answer. He wouldn't have. Liam was already scrambling for control, his face twisted in desperation. Ava, don't listen to him. He's always hated us. He wants to ruin us. I laughed darkly. You did that yourself, buddy. Ava turned to him, and for the first time, I saw the walls crumbling. The blind love she had for him? Gone. Liam grabbed her hands. Baby, please, let me explain. Her voice was steady now. Cold. Did you sleep with her? Liam froze. Ava's breath was shaky. Answer me. His silence was the answer, and then she slapped him. The sound ripped through the air. Liam stumbled back, eyes wide. The guests gasped. Some people turned away, uncomfortable. Others stared, enthralled. Ava's voice was thick with betrayal. I gave you everything. She took a deep breath, trembling. And you ruined it. Liam reached for her one last time. Ava, please. She took off her wedding ring and threw it in his face. The room erupted. Liam's mask finally shattered. He turned to me, rage contorting his features. You did this, he snarled. I smirked. I just held up a mirror. He lunged, but two of his friends grabbed him, holding him back. And Ava? She didn't even look at him anymore. She turned to me, eyes brimming with emotions I couldn't quite name. Pain. Regret. Something else. Noah! Her voice was barely above a whisper. I gave her one last glance. Now you see, Ava. And then, I walked away, leaving her in the ruins of her perfect love story. I walked away from the wreckage I had created. The moment Ava found out the truth, something inside me should have felt victorious. I had waited years for this, for the moment she saw Liam for what he truly was. And yet as I stepped out of the house, away from the gasps, the whispers, the broken pieces of her perfect dream, an unsettling emptiness filled my chest. Had I really won? Or had I just proven a point at the cost of everything? For the next few weeks, Ava's world crumbled. Her Madi Jover. The story of Liam's betrayal spread like wildfire. Some of their friends tried to stay neutral, but it was clear Liam was finished. I heard whispers about how Ava had left him that night, how she packed a suitcase and walked out. She didn't even look back. He had tried to fix things, of course. Begged. Pleaded. Even showed up at her family's house, where she had been staying, promising that it was just a mistake. Ava didn't listen. For the first time in her life, she truly saw him, and she walked away. But what surprised me the most, she didn't come to me. Not once. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I found myself waiting. I told myself it was because I wanted to see her suffer. That she had abandoned me first, so this was only fair. But when I caught myself scrolling through my phone, checking for messages that weren't there, I knew it wasn't about revenge anymore. I had spent years hating her. But Maybe just maybe I had never stopped loving her either. And that thought terrified me. 1 month later, I saw her again. It wasn't planned. I was at a cafe, drinking my usual black coffee, when I looked up and saw her walk in. She looked different. Not in the way I had expected. I thought she'd look defeated, destroyed. Instead, she looked lighter, like someone who had finally removed a weight from their shoulders. She ordered a drink, her expression calm, then turned and froze when she saw me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, carefully, she walked over. Noah. Her voice was softer than I remembered. I nodded. Ava. She hesitated, then sat down across from me. Silence stretched between us. I waited for her to speak first. Finally, she let out a breath. You did it. I raised an eyebrow. Did what? A small, humorless smile tugged at her lips. You destroyed my perfect life. I studied her, searching for resentment, anger something, but there was nothing. She wasn't broken. She wasn't furious. She was just Ava. And that scared me more than anything. I didn't destroy it, I said after a moment. Liam did. Her smile faded slightly. Yeah, she murmured. I guess he did. She traced the rim of her cup, thoughtful. You know, she said quietly, for a long time, I thought I had everything I wanted. I leaned back, watching her. And now? She met my gaze. Now I'm realizing I never really knew what I wanted at all. The words sat heavy between us. I clenched my jaw. And me? Her lips parted slightly. For the first time, something flickered in her eyes. Regret. Sadness. Hope. Noah, she whispered. I exhaled sharply, shaking my head. Don't. Her brows furrowed. Don't what? Don't say my name like that. Like I still mean something to you. She swallowed hard. What if you do? My breath caught. I looked at her. Really looked at her. This wasn't the Ava I had loved as a kid. And maybe that was the problem. The Ava I had loved had never chosen me. And I wasn't sure if I could forgive her for that. I stood up, grabbing my coffee. You had your chance, Ava. My voice was quiet, steady. And you didn't choose me. She flinched. Noah, wait. I turned away. Goodbye, Ava. And this time, I was the one who walked away. I left the cafe knowing one thing: I was finally free. For years, I had let my love for Ava turn into resentment, into something ugly and vengeful. But standing there, seeing her so lost, so unsure, I realized I didn't need her anymore. And that was the real victory. I walked into my future with no regrets. Because for the first time in my life, I was done chasing the past. I left the cafe, heart pounding. I thought that was it. The final goodbye. But I had underestimated Ava. That night, as I walked into my apartment, my phone buzzed. A message. From her. You're wrong, Noah. I never stopped loving you. And I'm going to prove it. I stared at the screen, my breath unsteady. And for the first time, I didn't know if I wanted to run or stay.